म बच्चादेखि नै actually we grew up in a joint family. I was always very very close to हाम्रो हजुरबा र हजुरआमासँग. I grew up with them. I grew up primarily with my काका, मेरो बसन्त चाचा हुनुहुन्छ,
हजुर
अरुण काका हुनुहुन्छ. My father was very very hardworking, busy right from the beginning. So with our upbringing at that joint family, Kuma, going to Kantishwari was a very memorable experience. We I remember त्यो बेला म स्कुलमा नै भएको बेलामा we had our late prince Niranjan also there in the school. तर त्यो बेलाको सम्झना, while I was very young, I think I must have been maybe 3 4 years old, 5 years old. I still aliali memory ma I can still remember those times of playing in the field, interacting with the teachers, and you won't believe there are one or two teachers from Kantishwari that I'm still in touch with. My father and I had never ever spent time together. I was 14 and a half, 15. And my father told me, okay, now you are going to one of the best schools in the world. Why don't you and me, father and son, go on a 11 days holiday across Europe, right? So, I mean, for me, it was, as a child, you always long for spending time with your parents. So,
So how old
we
were you
went.
त्यतिखेर 15 वर्ष?
Yes, I was just about 15, right? And he and me went to, I still remember we landed in Italy and त्यो बेला त्यो one pass थियो नि त्यो Euro मा, you got one pass and you could hop in and hop out of any Euro rail around Europe. So we went to Italy, Germany, etc. But the time I got to spend time with my father, the bonding that I had, I always knew him as the Binod Chaudhary, but now I was getting to know him as my father. The father side of him I got to know, and even he hadn't spent so much time with me. So I remember I was actually going to a school called Millfield, where my again the reason I got into Millfield was because of squash. On Millfield, my coach was a gentleman called Jonna Barrington, who was former world number one. So when he saw my game, he wanted to sort of take me under his wing and coach me. And I went to Millfield, and which is 2 3 hours away from London in a countryside. Okay? So I got there, and first time my father and me are parting ways after spending that quality time together. And obviously, I had tears in my eyes, like always. I could sense even he was a little sad. And my ekle to dining hall, my first day gairati. And I was feeling really sad, not because I was missing home, but because I was missing my father at that time. Okay? And Tivila, we had our individual rooms. So as I was walking back, very sad to my room, I heard a very familiar voice because my roommate next to me was a Japanese, Japan Madeoda Kita Thevi. So suddenly I heard him speaking in Japanese to a very familiar voice in Japanese. I peep inside the room and I see my father speaking in Japanese with this kid. I'm like, Dad, what are you doing here, number one? And number two, I didn't know you spoke Japanese. And he said, Son, I was missing you so much and I just couldn't go back to the hotel. I wanted to see how you're doing. And I said, Papa, I don't want to stay here. I'm really, really, this countryside makes me really depressed, etc. And I'd also got into Harrow, which was in London.
ए,
So while we were driving back to London the same day where I left that school, I said, you know what? Harrow is a great school. And when I knew that Harrow founded squash and it was in London, I said, you know what? I'm going to continue studying here. So that's how it happened, actually.